Good afternoon and welcome to the National Press Club. My name is Teresa Warner and I am the 105th president of the National Press Club. We are the world's leading professional organization for journalists, committed to our profession's futures through our programming and events such as these, while fostering a free press worldwide. For more information about the National Press Club, please visit our website at www.press.org. To donate to programs offered to the public through our National Press Club Journalism Institute, please visit press.org/institute. On behalf of our members worldwide, I'd like to welcome our speaker and those of you attending today's event. Our head table includes guests of our speaker, as well as working journalists who are club members. And if you hear applause in our audience, we'd note that members of the general public are attending, so it's not necessarily evidence of a lack of journalism objectivity. I'd also like to welcome our C-SPAN and our public radio audiences. Our luncheons are also featured on our member-produced weekly podcast from the National Press Club, available on iTunes. You can also follow the action on Twitter using hashtag NPCLunch. After our guest speech concludes, we will have a Q&A, and I will ask as many questions as time permits. Now I would like to introduce our head table guest, and I'd ask each of you to stand up briefly as your name is announced. From your right, Peter Foster, U.S. Editor, The Daily Telegraph of London. Jean Lemazuri, Gorman Health Group. Marcia Apperson, Senior Associate in the Ombudsman Office at PBS. Sylvia Smith, Features Editor for State News, AARP Bulletin. Jane Wottrell, General Assignment Reporter, NBC4. John Vagosin, Chairman of the Board and President of the U.S. Tennis Association. Allison Fitzgerald, freelance journalist, Chairwoman of the Speakers Committee. I'm going to skip our speaker for just a moment. Donna Linewan Leger, reporter for USA Today, 2009 National Press Club President, and the Speakers Committee member who organized today's luncheon. David Haggerty, First Vice President, USTA. Kevin Wensing, U.S. Navy retired, National Press Club member who serves as the member of the USTA Advocacy Committee and Military Outreach. And Larry Bivens from Gannett. Thank you all. On September 20th, 1973, the world watched as Billie Jean King stepped onto the tennis court in Houston to face Bobby Riggs, then one of the world's greatest tennis stars. In the lead up to the event, Riggs had boasted of his tennis prowess and belittled female players. He called female professional tennis players inferior. Indeed, it was, but not in the way Riggs thought. Just a year earlier, Congress had passed Title IX, mandating equality at schools and universities that received federal funding. But the benefits had not yet reached women's athletics. In 1972, just 29,000 women played varsity sports at the university level, compared with 170,000 men. In high school, the disparities were even worse. Fewer than 300,000 high school girls played varsity sports, compared with 3.7 million high school boys. King had just helped found the Women's Professional Tennis Tour at a time when men's tennis was awash in prize money and sponsorships. That year, Billie Jean King won the U.S. Open, but earned $15,000 less than the male champ. King said she would not play the next year if the tournament failed to even up the pot. In 1973, the U.S. Open became the first major tournament to offer equal prize money. So when King stepped into the Astrodome that day, she had a message to deliver, and she delivered it in straight sets, beating Riggs 6-4, 6-3, 6-3. The Sunday Times of London called it the drop shot and volley heard around the world. The match didn't just change women's tennis, it changed tennis, King told NPR in a 2008 interview. Attendance at tennis matches soared. It's funny how when a woman does something, they always think we only affect half of the population, King said. King went on to found a women's tennis magazine, the Women's Sports Foundation, in between winning 39 Grand Slam titles in singles, doubles, and mixed doubles. She won her first Wimbledon doubles title at the age of 17. The next year, King upset the #1 seed Margaret Court in the first round of Wimbledon. From 1966 to 1975, King dominated the sport. For 6 years, she ranked #1 in the world. She beat world-class players such as Martina Navratilova and Chris Everett. In 1990, Life magazine named her one of the 100 most important Americans of the 20th century. President Obama awarded her the Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. And if your daughter has ever won a trophy in her competitive sports league, it's time for a tip of the racket to King. Since that fateful day in 1973, girls' participation in high school sports has increased 940%. Now, 3.1 million high school girls play on high school varsity teams, and 170,000 play at the college level. But as King will tell you today, there is still ground to cover to make all sports opportunities open to all. Please join me in welcoming Billie Jean King.
That's very kind of you. Those are kind words. I didn't remember a lot of it. So glad C-SPAN's here today. I'm so glad we had a healthy lunch. Thanks to Susan Delbert. Did have fun? Did you guys decide what the menu was going to be today or what? Also, I want to thank Andrew Price and all our servers being so kind to us and taking good care of us. Means a lot. It's a pleasure to be here today. Do you realize I've never spoken here? And I'm 68. It's never too late. So I'm really happy to be here. And thanks, Teresa, and thanks to the National Press Club and all the officers, the Board of Governors, and the members of the NPC Speakers Committee for having me. I am thrilled to be here because I've certainly watched enough people speak here. So thank you. To John Vagosin, who was already introduced by Teresa, our chairman and president of the USTA, and everyone at the USTA. We got a lot of people from the USTA today. We're covered, man. I love it. Also, our Mid-Atlantic section. Where are they? Are they here today at all? That's too bad. Where are they? I thought they were going to be here. Anyway, just so you know, the USTA is our national governing body of tennis. And there's 17 geographical sections, just so you understand. And we happen to be in the Mid-Atlantic section, which is of those 17 sections. And the states are Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and obviously the District of Columbia, just so we are very clear on anybody that's not familiar with our sport. I think it's important you know that. I also would like to thank Kurt Camperman, who's the CEO of Community Tennis. And just about everything I'll be talking about today comes under his leadership. So why don't you stand up, Kurt? Thank you. He's a heck of an athlete, too, believe me. And to all the board of directors that are here and from the USTA, I really appreciate you being here. Also, the two people that probably helped me the most to get prepared today are Barry Ford, who's Director of Advocacy. I don't know where Barry is, but I want to thank him. There he is. Please stand. And also to Derek Johnson, who's Director of Corporate Communications. Where are you? Thank you. And thank you, Whit. Many of you know me as a tennis player, I guess. Some of you know I'm a social activist. But I come to you today as one of my proudest achievements. I'm one of over 27 million recreational tennis players. In fact, according to the Sporting Goods Manufacturers Association, tennis has been the fastest growing traditional sport since the year 2000. We currently have over 800,000 adult league participants. Have fun's part of that, from 18 to 88. Whew, I just made it. And that is just adults. As you know, tennis has obviously been a huge part of my life. It's changed my whole life. I was blessed to have a great career. I wish I'd won more. But more importantly, tennis has given me my platform to continue my lifelong quest for equal rights and opportunities for boys and girls, men and women. Since I was 12 years old, I had an epiphany, and I promised I would dedicate my life to that goal until the day I die. And thanks to tennis, I was able to have a platform. And thank you, Bobby Riggs, that also gave me a huge platform. For several years, many of you in this room have been encouraging people to pick up a racket. But why? Because tennis is a sport of a lifetime, and it can be enjoyed by people of all ages and all abilities. The USTA invests 100% of the proceeds from the US Open towards their mission. So when you come to the US Open, if you buy a ticket, you're helping community tennis. And the mission statement is to promote and develop the growth of tennis. In 2011, just last year, the USTA invested over $49 million, that's almost $50 million, for public courts, scholarships, programs, and grants. It's a lot. Most national governing bodies don't do that. They're usually always asking for money. So the USTA's up to almost $50 million, and of course the US Open keeps growing, so who knows what 2012 will bring. Recently, somebody asked me to name a huge turning point in my life. Well, there's a lot. If you think about your own lives, think about your turning points in your life. You never know how a person's going to touch your life or how you're going to touch theirs. You never know. So stay alert. Well, let's go back to rewind. 5th grade, elementary school in Long Beach, California, where I was born and raised. Susan Williams sitting next to me. Thank God her father had just been transferred from New York for his job. She looks at me and says, "You want to play tennis?" And I look at her and I go, "What's tennis?" Now remember, I played every other, like tons of all-team sports before that. She says, "Well," I said, "What do you do?" And she says, "You get to run, and you get to jump, and you get to hit a ball." I go, "Those are my 3 most favorite things in sports. I'm there. I'll try it. Let's go." So we go over to her country club, and we play. And I come home, and I had fun. And I thought, well, I guess I'll get to play if Susan takes me to the club. Well, we also were on a softball team. At the softball practice, our coach, Val Halloran, Susan says, "Billie Jean went out and played tennis." And I went, "Well, if you can call it that." And she said, and Val Halloran says, "They give free coaching, free instruction here every Tuesday at Houghton Park." I heard the word free. What? Whoa. Now there might be an opportunity for me to play more. So I go out, and I'm on the court with Clyde Walker. I'll never forget this day as long as I live. Because at the end of that day, I knew I'd found out what I was going to do with my life. I wanted to be the #1 tennis player in the world. Done. My poor mother, she picks me up, she's lolling. "Hi, honey, did you have fun?" I go, "Mom, I found what I was going to do with my life. Let's go home. I want to tell Dad, and I want to tell my brother. Come on, come on." Well, my mother is going to be 90 in about 2 weeks, and she still remembers that day. And we still always have a good old laugh over it. She says, "You're still going. What's going on here?" So she's funny because she didn't really care. And my younger brother, Randy Moffett, was a relief pitcher most of his career with the San Francisco Giants. Good righty, good slider if you're into baseball at all in the room. That's my baby brother. My poor parents, they didn't care if we're any good, but here's what happened. Most people think tennis is only played in clubs. I meet people all the time. Think, "Oh, it's a country club sport." I go, Excuse me? I don't think so." over 70% of tennis is played on public parks, in public parks. And I'm one of those kids. Like I said, I'm a public park kid. Let me just name a few, just a few of the past champions. And when I mean champions, I mean #1 in the world that come from the public parks. Just to kind of like, this will refresh your memory. I think you've heard of Arthur Ashe, who was #1 in the world. Chris Evert was many times #1 in the world. Stan Smith was #1 in the world. Jimmy Connors, Serena Williams, Venus Williams, just to give you a few of the champions who've come from public parks. Because everyone's initial reaction, they think we came from a club. It's not true. Public parks. I'm happy to say that the USTA is investing in public parks and schools by helping to build and refurbish courts and providing programs in countless communities throughout the country. These tennis facilities have become safe and fun community hubs. In the past 6 years, the organization has built or refurbished 25,000 courts in the U.S., and we hope by the end of this year, we hope that we've completed 30,000. So things just keep rolling along. It's great. Also, the USTA is very focused. In fact, the entire community is focused on this 10 and under tennis initiative. It's just gotten started the last, 3-4 years. And this initiative is going to help fight childhood obesity, which we all know is an epidemic in this country. And we're going to get kids active. We know at the Women's Sports Foundation that if a girl does not exercise by the time she's 10 years old, she only has a 10% chance to exercise the rest of her life. So this 10 and under initiative is vital to help that. Because not only do we want to get them started, we want to keep them going forever. The great thing about the 10 and under initiative is everything's smaller. The courts are smaller, the rackets are smaller, but the balls are actually bigger. This is good, this is good. I'll tell you why. Okay, here's what happens with the regular tennis ball when a child plays. I'll use the gavel. I have a racket, but I'll use the gavel. No, this is more fun. I feel really authoritative here. Ooh. So anyway, okay. So when the children play with the regular ball, they're hitting all their shots up here. They get all these goofy grips, and as they grow older and they grow taller, everything's not quite right. But what happens with these balls, because they're slower and they bounce a little lower, they're around their center of gravity, and that's the strike zone. If you play baseball, you know where that is. That is where you want it. It's the sweet spot, where your point of contact when you hit the ball, and that really helps. It makes such a difference. You would not believe the success that these children have in hitting the ball back and forth in a long rally. That never happens usually. You know, they're whiffing at the air, they go back to the fence, they grab the ball. Oh, okay, that's fun. Okay, so now it's fun. And this way they're going to stick to it. And you know what? What's good for the kids is good for us mature people. ARP, are you listening? All right, this is good, because I qualify. This helps us too. We don't have as much space to cover. The ball's a little slower. I like it. It's good. So guess what? This keeps everybody playing forever. It's great. The first time I tried it, before I had my last 2 knee operations with my knee replacement, I went out and tried it on the small car. I go, this is for me, baby. I got a chance to this is fun, and I can play with the kids that way too. It makes it really fun. And that way you get a lot of generations together. It's really fun. I love it. The great thing about tennis too, it's an individual sport and it's a team sport. You got choices. Another great thing is both genders, both boys and girls, men and women play it. A lot. And I'm talking about from the grassroots to the professional. Not a lot of sports can say that. We don't have an NFL for the women. We don't have Major League Baseball for women. If you wanted me to keep going, I can keep going, okay? So I want you to think about how great tennis is as a sport. It takes care of all of us, and I love that fact. And today I want to introduce Mark Ein, who's the owner. Stand up, Mark, please. of the Washington Castles, which is one of our World Team Tennis teams. That's what I do with my life. Mark has really gotten behind this 10 and Under initiative. So is the City Open that comes up after on the US Open Series. I know you guys do a King of the Castles or something play day with this 10 and Under initiative. I mean, everyone's getting behind it. And I think it's so important. All of our teams, all of the professional tournaments, have gotten behind this 10 and Under initiative. If you go to a tournament, if you go to a Castles match, you're going to see kids running around playing on these smaller courts with the smaller rackets and the balls. Okay, it's so much fun to watch the kids. So so far we've done about 5,000 kids courts, and we're making tennis accessible in tighter areas like urban areas. You can have it any place, basketball court, in the street. It doesn't matter. Put it up, get them playing. It doesn't matter. Don't get too fancy-pantsy on it. But none of these opportunities would happen without the tens of thousands of volunteers that love our sport so much. And I want to really thank the volunteers. Lucy Garvin, who's here, third, I think, woman president. Did I have that right? Third woman president of the USTA. You know what I'm talking about. You're great with the sections. You know, Dale knows. I mean, it's so important that to really honor our volunteers, because without them, it doesn't happen. Every section has it. Every community tennis association, everybody. The USTA school program, we're also an after-school program. We've reached 1 million elementary school kids just last year alone. Also, we also have the National Junior Tennis and Learning Network, which was co-founded by Arthur Ashe, Charlie Passerelle, and Sheridan Snyder, and we have over 660 chapters in the United States, nationwide. By the way, sidebar, Arthur Ashe and Charlie Passerelle were roommates at UCLA, and they played on the men's tennis team there, just FYI. They're my era, so I know. And the NJTL provides tennis, educational opportunities, and then they also help train the children in life skills. And that's over 250,000 underserved youth per year. It's fantastic what they're doing. Story, Trenton, New Jersey. That chapter there. I think David Haggerty, the first vice president's dad, was real involved in the park where they played. Michelle Bellama, no, not Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama began playing with the NJTL of Trenton during her sophomore year of high school, which is pretty late. Michelle became an instructor and leader for the NJTL of Trenton. She received a 4-year scholarship from the NJTL and attended Drew University. She was named all-conference champion and was the most decorated female tennis player at Drew. Michelle's family immigrated from Africa, and she was the first family member to attend college. What a turning point for Michelle to have that opportunity. You never know. Since 1994, USTA Serves, which is the charitable arm of the USTA, has provided over $10 million in funding for tennis and education programs in over 172 communities in 43 states. Deborah Larkin, the executive director, is here today. She's fantastic. I've known her forever. She's a tennis nut. She plays USTA leagues, and I've known her for many years, a dear friend who's done a great job as executive director. She's a go-getter. She's perfect for that job. In just the past few years, just started in 2003, they provided over $3 million in college scholarships. Another very important area is that they have funded hundreds of adaptive tennis programs that allow people with disabilities to enjoy tennis. We're covering everything, man. We got it. Get those checks out. We're checking off everyone. Ooh, those little boxes, you know? Oh, wait, we haven't finished. Sorry, more to come. The USTA has a military outreach program they have programs that support more than 100,000 of our military and their families at home and abroad. This includes in helping in providing tennis facilities and programming on bases throughout the U.S. and other initiatives, like Adopt a Unit, which provides tennis equipment to deploy forces so they can enjoy the sport in the precious downtime that they have. I know that our First Lady, Michelle Obama, and Dr. Jill Biden would be absolutely thrilled to know this. And if they don't know it already, they will know soon. Because I'm very fortunate to be on the President's Council for Fitness, Sports, and Nutrition. I don't know if Shelley Fole's still here, but she's my boss, executive director. She's fantastic. Like the U.S. Army Staff Sergeant, Andy Marcasano. It's Marcasano, I got that wrong. He is from Shell Beach, California. While stationed in southwestern Afghanistan, the USTA sent a tennis care package that included nets, rackets, balls, and instructional information. Andy and his fellow soldiers made a court on flattened mud and gravel. That's what I told you, it'll go any place. And they set it up, and they banged the ball around. I hope it relieves some of their stress. I cannot imagine the stress they must go through. Isn't it great to take a racket and just smack the ball? You know what, you don't hurt anybody. You know, I know if psychotherapists say that's very good therapy, but you don't hurt anybody. It's fantastic, and you feel so much better afterwards. We want tennis to make a positive difference in the lives of others. The USTA contingent is here this week to reach out to our national policymakers in hopes of developing partnerships that can impact more communities and lives. We want to ensure that every child has an opportunity to get the best education possible. We want to partner with communities across the country to create safe, healthy communities for everyone. The USTA is more committed than ever to make tennis more accessible. Our goal is simple: to grow tennis and make it look like America. That's good. Let's go to Q&A. Ooh, ha-ha.
Thank you. And before we get started in the Q&A, I inadvertently left out Sean Mayo, who is at the head table and is a board member of USTA. So thank you for coming. It's the 40th anniversary of Title IX. Do you think it's still needed? And if so, should it be changed or expanded, and how?
Well, it's the 40th anniversary. It was passed June 23rd, 1972. One of my sheroes is Ms. Green, Congressman Green of Oregon. She's no longer with us, but it was her idea. She was called the Mother of Education. And then the other person who's one of my heroes is Senator Birch Bayh, who was in the Senate and introduced the bill. These people were fantastic. Patsy Mink from Hawaii, fantastic. She was the first person of color that was in Congress. First female, I think. I don't know, I think it's female. God, I usually have this right. Well, I'm having I'm not gonna call it a senior moment. No, it's a brain cramp. I ask kids when they're 21, what do you call it when you don't remember something? They go, what do you mean? I go, do you remember everything? And they go, absolutely not. I said, what do you guys call it? And then everybody's stumped. I love it. But when you're older, it's, oh, senior moment. Oh, not. So anyway, as far as Title IX, it was about education. It wasn't about sports. That's how it originated. Sports was tagged on at the last minute thought. Before 1972, the quotas at Harvards of the world were 5% if you want to be a woman doctor, if you want to be a woman lawyer, okay? These are our forward-thinking educators. a woman could not get an athletic scholarship until the fall of 1972. And there weren't very many in the fall of 1972. I can tell you there was hardly any because a lot of schools resisted on changing the law. As far as Title IX, women are still 168 million behind every year in scholarships and opportunities. So when you read the sports section, though, you'll think we're terrible because we're hurting the football programs, we're hurting the men's sports. Believe me, both men and women's sports are being dropped in certain universities and colleges. And the one thing I keep telling them, the athletic directors, do not get rid of tennis. Do not get rid of men's tennis or women's tennis because we are a lifetime sport and we have obesity in this country, and we should be encouraging lifetime sports in our universities if we're going to have a healthy nation. Because we are putting our nation at actually security risk because in the military they're having a harder time even passing the test. They go to pre-boot camp to go to boot camp now. Okay, so we have got to make this nation strong, mentally, emotionally, and physically, and keep tennis in the universities and colleges. Sorry, I get a little wound up.
Well, since we're on the topic of obesity, aside from destroying all computer games and information technology, what else do you think could be done to change behavior so that people live healthier lifestyles and just get out and move?
Well, it's interesting because just 2 weeks ago, our President's Council just joined forces with, we joined forces with the Entertainment Software Association, which is video games. And if you know, there are a few games where you actually have to be active, like Dance Dance Revolution. A lot of people don't want to do sports, but they'll do that. Great, just get moving. That's all that matters under our First Lady's Let's Move campaign. So we've joined forces with them, and they're going to do many more active video games. So they're going to be part of the answer, but the average screen time is 7 to 8 hours a day. It's pathetic. So we know that's it can be television, computers, phones. Just make sure you have the top of your hair all dyed if you have hair up there because everyone sees the top of your head now. So anyway, I'm in an elevator and everybody's on their phone. I'm going, whoa, yeah, baby. So anyway, I'm very nervous about the top of my head. So anyway, it's very important that we get kids outside. We need playtime. We know that even if for 1 minute, if you make children move in the classroom for 1 minute to music, boom, boom, move your arms, move your legs, sitting on a chair, okay? Get your circulation going. I mean, there's a little kid who said, he likes recess because he's like, get the wigglies out. I get the wigglies out so I can, and I said, do you do better when you go back in the classroom? Yeah, yes, I can focus. I said, focus, that's a pretty good word. And so, but they're so cute, man. The kids get it. So we've got to get them out. So it's nutrition. We've got to find ways to get our kids moving. But, you know, as a parent or a caregiver, whoever's taking care of children, we've got to set the example. We have to live it. We can't just tell them what to do because they watch our actions. They don't listen to what we say. So if we're walking, take a walk with the child, or maybe a child will take a walk with you. Sometimes children change adults. So you never know. But obesity is going to be a bigger cause of death and health challenges than smoking, okay? It's done now, it's done. So obesity is our main challenge because of the heart disease and diabetes and all the things that are happening. So we need to really help each other be active and make it part of our lifestyle. It's not going to be easy. Parents, teachers, everybody, coaches, we've got to do it. It's preventable. It's preventable. So we can do this as a nation. We can do this. Sorry, getting wound up.
Does the current generation of athletes understand the challenges that you faced?
Well, you know, every generation has a different frame of reference. So in all fairness, I always try to think of the person's age and what their frame of reference must be. When I grew up, it was amateur tennis, and we made $14 a day. One of my first sheroes was Althea Gibson, the first person of color to win anything, because people of color weren't even allowed to play in sanctioned tournaments until 1950. That wasn't that long ago. So I was very fortunate as a 13-year-old to see Althea Gibson in person in Los Angeles and got to watch her. And that changed my life too, because I'd only been in the game for 2 years. So it's important to really understand each person's generation and where they come from. I don't think they understand. I don't expect them to understand, but I can tell you what, there's 9 of us that just got together for a reunion. We're called the Original 9, and we started women's professional tennis. That's not the way I wanted it. I wanted the men and women to be together, and they rejected us. So I went to Plan B, and we started ourselves. And we're very fortunate that we signed a $1 contract with Gladys Hellman in Houston, Texas in 1970. And that was the birth of women's professional tennis the way you know it today. Now, do I expect Maria Sharapova or Venus or Serena to understand that? We can tell them, and they do have a sense of history. They're very good. But they didn't live it, just like I'm not living with the pressures that they deal with. They're very different. Look at the money management they need to do. No, I'm kidding. I would like to have that challenge, I must tell you. Because I love money because it creates opportunity. I'm not very high maintenance, so I'd be giving it away, most of it. But it's fun to make money and create opportunities for people. But no, but there's different pressures. It just isn't. They're much better players today than we've ever dreamed. I mean, if I could hit one shot like they do today, that would be just a fantastic feeling. So everyone's different. But I must tell you, with the WTA, the Women's Tennis Association, we have these mentoring classes all the time. And so we're very connected through the generations. My generation spent an enormous amount of time with Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova to mentor them, to help them. And so we asked of them to keep doing it each generation. And we do try to really connect the generations. And they do know about the past history because they're taught the past history. Katrina Adams is here today, and she's on the board of directors of the USTA, but you know, she went to Northwestern. She won the NCAAs in '87 with Diane Stone, who's actually my assistant, which is really funny. But you know, it's just amazing what each generation gives, and we do stand on the shoulders of the generations before us. We just do. And so I'm very thankful to the Althea Gibsons and the other guys around that time too that were very good to me. So we just have to, you know, we're all in this together. We are in this together, so we have to help each other.
What do you think has been the biggest change in tennis in the past 20 years?
Oh, yeah, 20. That's not very long ago. 20. Well, I think it's been an evolution of equipment change. I mean, this racket, I'm going to mess up my signature, sorry, but it's really light. This is like my security blanket, like Linus. When I got my first racket, I told my dad, you know, I wanted to play tennis, and he said, great, show me. So I went around to all the neighbors and begged them to give me a job. Then when I had $8.29 saved up at the mason jar up in the cupboard, I said, Mommy, Daddy, I can't wait any longer. Please let me go get a racket. I went to Brown Sporting Goods, and I got my first racket. And the salesperson said to me, well, what kind of racket do you want? I said, what does $8.29 buy? And so I got it because I love the color. Purple is my favorite color. Lavender, violets, all those are my favorite. And I would sleep with my racket every night. And I would dream about winning and being number one. So when I see this racket, I go like, oh, I love it. Just like Linus, with, you know, like with your blankie. That's how I am with the tennis racket when I see a racket. But the biggest thing is the materials in the racket. They're so light. My wooden racket was 13 3/4 ounces. Oh my God, nobody plays. Well, maybe Federer, his is pretty hefty. Sampras is pretty hefty when he played, but most of them are really light. But the aerodynamics, the way of the racket are fantastic. You can hit so much harder. The sweet spot's a lot bigger. I mean, I can go on. And now they've got this string. All the pros today are talking about the string they use. That's all they talk about. Oh, it's got little sharp things in the string, so the spins take more. Like if you see Nadal hit that forehand spin, the reason it takes, everything's exaggerated. If it's a slice, it's exaggerated. If it's a top spin, it's exaggerated. And they have the control that we never would have had. With our sweet spot was about this big on our rackets. And the racket looks like a little badminton racket now. You know, the wooden frames. It's so cute. And the athletes, let's face it, the training, the nutritional, all the information available and how to train is so much better, much more dynamic. You know, the kinetic linkage that they use when they hit, we were taught to be very static. I mean, it has totally evolved into, that's why I say if I could just hit one like the kids hit today would just be, wow. So, and I tell them that all the time. I go, God, every generation just gets better, okay? And if you're an older person and you keep talking about the glory days, that's fine, but the kids are better.
Do you agree with John McEnroe that the pros should go back to wooden rackets as a way to bring variety, strategy, and subtlety back to the game?
Well, John just describes his game because he's absolutely a genius, okay? He had the best hands, I think, of anybody and had the greatest touch. And I love the way his mind works. You know, he still plays every day. He's crazy, man. He's at an academy at Sport Times in New York. He's out on the court. He's in better shape now than when he played. I mean, he'll tell you. Do you know how much thinner he is? I don't know if you noticed photos. Oh, my gosh. The only thing that kept him going when he played was doubles. You know, because he played doubles so much, that's what kept him sharp. The year he stopped playing doubles, I said, he's in trouble. Sure enough. Because that's where he got his practice. I mean, it kept him sharp. So that would be nice. I don't know about the environmentalists if they like the wood idea, but it's different. And sometimes, occasionally, they have tournaments with some of the older players with wooden rackets. There are not too many left. It's getting scarce.
Players or rackets?
Scarce both ways. Sorry, that's good. Correct me, I like it.
Are you satisfied with the level of pay today in women's tennis compared to that on the men's tour, and are there other outstanding equality issues?
I bet you guys aren't used to these questions, are you? A lot of, because there's so many men in sports. It's really their bastion. It's kind of weird. We start talking about the girls. But we are very fortunate to have equal prize money in the majors, and I want to salute the USTA because the US Open was the first by many, many years. The difference happened in 1968 was the first year we got money. You know how you see it today, we get money checks? Before that, we were amateurs. So 1968 was the beginning of what we call open or modern tennis. Okay, so if someone says open tennis, you'll now know what that actually means. It means it started in 1968, where we got paid. And I won Wimbledon, and Rod Laver won Wimbledon, and he got a check for 2,000 pounds, and I got a check for 750 pounds. I went, oh, no. I thought we were going to get equal. I just thought we'd both get our little check, and everybody be happy. And I didn't realize, of course not. What am I? I mean, was I clueless or what? So in the back of my mind, I said, okay, that's going to be another challenge, another one. I'm thinking, Jesus, ever stop? So over the years, we just behind the scenes kept after the others. The Australian came around, and then they backed off again. And then I must tell you, Venus Williams stepped up, and she did make a difference. She was willing to go to meetings behind the scenes. She was willing to do a lot of things and put herself on the line. And most players have a really hard time doing that. So I take my hat off to Venus. In 2007, all 4 majors gave us equal money. There's still a lot more money in men's tennis. They have more opportunity. Some of it's cultural. But usually it's because of the old boy network usually takes care of each other more than the girls. But let's face it, men's tennis right now has 3 players that are extraordinary. Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal. And they're extraordinary. And the women right now can't decide who's number 1. But that's great competition. You know, it's funny with the media. They always complain if, no matter which way you go. If there's a rivalry going on, they say, oh, the rest of the competition's no good. And then if you don't have a rivalry, like in the women's tennis right now, they go, what's wrong with that? There's no rivalries. So we have, as a player, I've seen so many generations of this. I think it's amusing to listen. So things go in cycles. But right now, you'll never see 3 players, I don't think, ever again in the history. They're real exceptional human beings and athletes. So, but the women, there's lots of competition to decide who's going to be number 1. We don't know, which is kind of interesting to me, too. Whereas I kind of know the top 3 are going to be up there with the guys. So, but we always have a long way to go. But the wonderful thing about equal prize money, it's not about the money, it's about the message. We want to empower every human being, boy or girl, to be the best he or she can be. And everyone should not be discounted. No person should be discounted for anything. So it's very important that we help each other. It's doing the right thing. I must tell you that men come up to me in their 40s and 50s today, a lot of times with tears in their eyes, and they say how much that match when I played Bobby Riggs, how that changed their whole perception. And now they have a daughter and how they're going to raise her. That they insist that their boys and girls, their sons and daughters, have equal opportunity and equal. And they point to that match. They'll say, I saw that when I was 10 years old. I saw that when I was 12 years old. That changed my life and how I raised my daughter and I've raised my boys. And actually, President Obama was 12 years old when I played that, and he's told me the story too. So it's amazing how these men are the first generation of men of the women's movement. Okay? They are. So if you're in your 40s or 50s, little 60s there, you are the first generation of men of the women's movement.
You were recently awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. What is the single most important thing President Obama could do to address the continuing gender inequities?
Oh my goodness. Well, he's been trying with the Fair Pay Act and all the different things that are going on. But we really need people to do it, not just leadership. Each one of us, every single human being is an influencer. Every single one of you in this room, everyone who hears these words, each and every one of us is an influencer. How are you influencing that women don't get paid 77 cents on the dollar? It's very hard for when you're in power to give up some of that power. It's very hard. If you're the dominant group, you know very little about subdominant groups. The subdominant groups know a lot about the dominant group because they got to bob and weave. The subdominant group's got to bob and weave. They got to survive. And they got to know a lot about the dominant group. That's why it's important the dominant group knows a lot about the subdominant groups. And we got to give it, you have to give it up if you're a dominant group. Be inclusive. That's what it's all about. Advocate for each of us. It doesn't matter our gender or our sexual orientation. It doesn't matter. Disability, it doesn't matter. Help each other. It's amazing how everyone wants to be better than somebody else all the time. Keep somebody else down makes them feel like they're the big kahuna. No. True champions in life raise people above. Great leaders raise people above themselves.
What advice would you give mothers raising young girls today in regards to sports and society in general?
Wow. Yeah, it's so funny. I think in terms of boys and girls all the time, when I get these just women's, like what would a mother? Well, I think what I find with a lot of women is let's say if I go to a reception like today earlier, and I say, what do you like to do? And they go, oh, I'm a terrible athlete. Oh, I'm so bad. But I play tennis, I do this, or I like to dance. If I ask a guy that question, he doesn't say, oh, I'm a terrible athlete. What are you doing, girls? Don't put yourself down. I think mothers have to notice that. And mothers have to notice, mothers and fathers or caregivers, whoever's in charge of children, I'm telling you, it's everything you say, everything you do is so important because they pick up on they're smart. It's amazing all the little things that go on every single day that is racist or biased or something in some way. Teach girls to be empowered. Teach girls and your sons also. How you teach your sons is real important too. Because I grew up with a brother. I didn't even know what it feels like to have a sister. So my brother and I are so close, and he's so adorable, and that he's so, he goes, oh, sis, you had it so much harder than I did. I can't believe the difference. And I only have to show up on time for the bus. When they take the ball guys out to the park, he said, I can't believe your life compared to mine because you're a girl. And we've had these discussions, but I think it's important that mothers and fathers and caregivers, whoever's taking care of the child, guardians, whoever, to really tell girls to believe in themselves. Don't make excuses. Do not act like, oh, I'm terrible. I mean, like this. Come on. Don't say you're a terrible athlete, that's for sure. Not around me. If you can breathe, you're an athlete.
Many young women admire you and all that you've done in and outside of sports. Who did you admire when you were growing up as a young girl?
Women or men?
Either.
Okay, Althea Gibson, obviously, I've told you about her. Obviously, my mother and my father are a huge influence. They're a good team. They're good to each other. They loved each other. My dad's passed away. He passed away 6 years ago. They helped each other. They weren't afraid to cross the so-called female-male domains. Like my dad would say, you know, Betty, you put your feet up, I'll cook tonight. Oh my God, you know, or she, you know, whatever. They would help each other. My mother would usually defer to my father. They're that, you know, that generation, but they were good to each other. They were kind to each other. Not to say they didn't get into it. They weren't. No one's perfect. But I think my brother and I saw that. They loved to dance too. Aren't you a clogger?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you are a clogger and a dancer. So my parents loved to swing dance, and I know you're a good swing dancer. So I think it's really important to have a sense of teamwork. And what was the question again? I'm forgetting.
Who did you look up to growing up?
Look up. As far as males, Reverend Bob Richards. He was the minister of. I went to the First Church of the Brethren as a child. He was a gold medalist, pole vaulter in 2 Olympics. And he was a minister of our church, and every Sunday he got sports in every sermon. Do you think I wasn't there, hanging on every word? And then I'd go behind the church and watch him work out. I watched his discipline. He'd run hurdles. In those days, they had no bend in the pole vault. They had no bend. It was, so he was truly having to lift his body weight up. There was no flex to it at all. I always remember looking at it. But I'd go watch him to see the discipline and the intensity. And I remember he asked me, what do you want to be? And I said, number one tennis player in the world. And of course, this little chubby kid with glasses, he's probably thinking, she's got no chance. But anyway, I love this man. He was such a great motivator. He was one of the first guys on the Wheaties box. Reverend Bob Richards. Do you remember that? I don't know, but some of you might remember him. He's a great motivational speaker. You thought you could win anything after the sermon he would give on Sunday. I was ready to go get him. I love that guy. He was awesome.
Do you feel professional tennis suffers a lack of media coverage? It seems only the major events are carried on network television and covered by newspapers. What can be done to reverse this?
Well, actually, ESPN covers a lot of the U.S. Open series, which leads up to the U.S. Open. I think we have more hours of television probably than any other sport. I think we're right up there. The trouble is it's not in prime time every time. I think a lot of people, it's hard. You have to, if you want to root for a player, it's a player, and we need more American champions. So we've got Marty Fish and John Isner. John Isner is our poster boy for collegiate tennis. David Benjamin's here, who's the head of the ITA. John Isner graduated from the University of Georgia. He's in the top 10 in the world now. We never thought that would probably happen. He's our poster boy now. I told him he's in trouble. But I've been trying to get more young people to go to college. They need to go. They all want to turn pro, and they're not good enough, quite frankly. And when you go to college, the socialization process helps you. When you go back out on tour, the way John Isner has, it helps you socially. It helps you to cope with the life on the tour. You're much more mature. You handle things a lot better. It's not just what happens on the court; it's what's happening off the court. And I think John Isner is our poster boy right now. Arthur Ashe graduated. We used to have graduates, but it's a lot tougher now because we have to turn pro earlier and give up a lot and do homeschooling more, and it's changed. But I really think most of the kids should be going to college or university, not turning pro. They can do it.
How would you rate the state of affairs for America tennis?
I would say we're not at our height at the moment. But we do have junior development. We're making a concerted effort. I've heard that we've got more young, better girls than boys right now. I don't know if that's true because I don't know. I don't think you really ever know until they grow up. I did find this one kid, this guy came up to me and he said, "I'd love you to watch my daughter." And I'm thinking, you know how often I'm asked to watch their son or daughter? Daily. This is a daily request. And I'm at the Y in Prescott, Arizona, where my mom lives, and I'm pumping iron, and I'm like, it's my 1 hour to myself. And he's so nice. The guy comes over. Randy Johnson's his name. He says, "I'm just so sorry to interrupt. I just love you to watch my daughter." And I'm going, oh, okay. And I go, okay, I'm going to cut through this really fast. Does she have a ranking? Because that helps us know their abilities. Yes, she's #1 in the 10 and under in the Southwest region. I go, oh, now the Southwest is one of our weaker sections as far as the top kids, but she knows how to win if she's #1. I said, okay. I said, okay, when I come back, I promise you I'll call and I will take a look. So I said, please give me your information. He gives me the information. I put it in my sock. He looks it down like, sure, she's going to call me. No chance. I did. I went out and watched her. And she is so highly motivated. I'm very big on motivation. If a kid's motivated, I'm with them. Taylor Johnson's her name. She's a lefty. And now the USTA has invited her. She's now in LA. Her parents actually moved to LA so she can train at our training center in LA. And she's 11. Okay? And she's adorable. She just loves it. And then I have this other guy I'm trying to help get a scholarship. And anyway, I love helping kids. They're fun and they're a riot. They're so funny. But she loves it. And she gave me a photo of herself, and she says, "I'll see you at the U.S. Open in 2019.
We're almost out of time, but before asking the last question, a couple of housekeeping matters to take care of. First of all, I'd like to remind you all of upcoming speakers. May 15th, Gary Gensler, Chairman of the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. May 30th, Ana Maria Chavez, Chief Executive Officer of the Girl Scouts, to talk about the 100th anniversary of Girl Scouting. And on June 4th, the Gerald R. Ford Journalism Awards with guest speaker Chris Matthews. Second, I'd like to present our guests with the traditional MPC mug.
All right. My coffee, my decaf. That's nice, thanks.
And I'd like to ask everybody for a wonderful round of applause for our speaker today. And for all of you tennis fans out there, I have something very exciting that I would like to let you know, and to thank you that the USTA has donated 2 tickets to the 2012 U.S. Open. These tickets include seating in the President's courtside box, hospitality in the President's suite, courtside seating in the Louis Armstrong Stadium, access to all other courts, and behind-the-scenes tour of the Arthur Ashe Stadium. We will be auctioning these tickets off, and proceeds will go to our National Press Club Journalism Institute. The National Press Club Institute is committed to helping working journalists improve their skills through ongoing training programs and encouraging future journalists through its scholarships. So I ask that you keep an eye on our website at press.org on information on how to bid on this. And I do have one last question, and I would like to ask her, besides her victory over Bobby Riggs, what was your most satisfying victory?
First of all, that was not my most satisfying win. It was most satisfying from a pressure point of view. I had a lot of pressure. It was about social change. It wasn't about tennis, okay? Although it helped tennis. We exploded. Tennis at the grassroots level and at the professional exploded after that moment. I would say anything to do with teams. If I won a Fed Cup, which is international team play for women, when I represented my country, and anytime I won a world team tennis title, those are the ones I cherish. Absolutely at the top. I like teams. I'm a team kind of girl. And I grew up in team sports. I love team. So for me, it's the teams. World team tennis, when I played for the New York team, for the Chicago team, those are ones I hold dear because I still have deeper relationships with those people. And also for Fed Cup. And also coaching Fed Cup was a real honor.
I want to thank all of you for coming out today. And we have some tennis balls that we're going to close out with that Ms. King here is going to lob into the audience.
you notice the different sizes? This is our 10 and under initiative. We're trying to get organized, so you see all the different sizes. Colors too. You notice the colors? Kids like colors. I don't know. That's good. A lot of these people already have this stuff. They're like, I don't need this. How about you guys, the TV guys back there?
A return.
We don't have a lot of space here. Back in the back, get ready. Cal Ripken, I see him sometimes. He's great. Wow. I don't play anymore. No, I still play.